Square in central Beijing was a scene of pro-democracy demonstrations. But when the Chinese security forces made their decisive move, hundreds, perhaps even thousands, were killed.
Well, hundreds more were imprisoned, but a quarter of a century on, the majority have been released. But just one man is thought to still be in jail. Our correspondent Celia Hatton has been speaking to the handful of people who still remember Tiananmen's last prisoner.
Just how many died in June 1989 near Tiananmen Square remains a mystery. But some facts from the chaotic showdown between protesters and soldiers are becoming clear. 1,600 people received prison sentences. Just one is thought to remain behind bars. We don't have a photo of the last Tiananmen prisoner, but we know his name, Miao Dushun. A factory worker, he was convicted of arson. His crime? Throwing a basket at a burning tank.
He was a quiet person. He was often very depressed.
This man once shared a prison cell with Miao.
We both received suspended death sentences. Because of that, we were supposed to have our feet in shackles, and I was locked up, but he wasn't. He said the guards probably thought he was too thin to be able to wear foot chains.
Many believe Miao hasn't been released because he refused to admit guilt or regret. To find Miao Dushun, we drove to the far reaches of Beijing to Yanqing Prison, an institution for elderly and mentally ill inmates.
We've been driving through the mountains for the past few hours, and we're only getting close to the prison now. Technically, we're still in Beijing, but it certainly feels as if the Chinese government has banished the last prisoner, Miao Dushun, to another world, far away from the politics of Tiananmen Square.
Eventually, we found the prison in a remote stretch of countryside. Prison authorities refused to confirm anything about Miao Dushun, but he's probably living behind these walls, according to most who knew him. That group includes Jiang Baochun, another Tiananmen convict who, like Miao, served years in prison for arson. University students initiated the protests in 1989. Jiang believes that poor factory workers receive the toughest punishments.
No one spoke up for ordinary people like us. Wang Dan, one of the protest organizers, was only sentenced to 4 years in prison because he had connections.
Now riddled with arthritis, Jiang is struggling to establish a new life for himself. But he's grateful for the chance to rejoin society. He's well aware that Miao Dushun isn't scheduled for release until September 2018. Celia Hatton, BBC News, Beijing.